Finding a medical director for your mobile infusion business should not feel like dating, but it does, unfortunately, nowadays. The wrong one can completely stall your business. So we're going to go over what you should look for in a medical director and kind of a little bit more on what they're going to be responsible for and what they should be responsible for. Because a lot of times, unfortunately, there are providers out there who will agree to be your provider, but just want to give you their name and license to use, but not do anything else. And that is a big red flag. Don't do that. So my name is Tiffany. I own an infusion business. I do it full time. We paid our business off in 10 months and I'm profitable. And now I love teaching nurses how to do this as well, because IV therapy is really it is the most rewarding job that I have had. And it's really being able to help patients in a different way. But one of the biggest things is starting up your business the right way. And I would say legalities aren't the most important part. Once you get your business started up, then it's marketing. So we're going to go over, this month is all about legalities. So medical director, huge part. Okay, so we're going to cover that. So why do a lot of nurses stress out here? Well, if you don't know somebody, that can be daunting of like, oh my God, can I even find a medical director? Yes, I promise you can. It is going to take time. Now, I may be able to find one in a week. You may find one in 2 months. It just depends. And just know that it can take time, but that is normal. So I, in my course, go over, 4 different ways that you can find your medical director, what to pay, all the ins and outs. So again, I do teach a course on this. If this is something that you're going through right now and you're looking to start your infusion business, I highly recommend taking one of my mobile IV therapy startup courses. I teach twice a month live via Zoom. Information's below. You can start from there. But one of the biggest things is that you will be able to find one. There are actually websites that will staff it for you, but being able to know what your state regulations are, because I have had a nurse who went through my course and she did use one of these, and because she did know what her state required, this staffing company was like, we found you a provider, but I think the vibe that I got, I don't know for sure, this staffing company finds clinics, like infusion clinics with medical directors. I don't think they portray to the medical directors that they're gonna have to consult. They're like, hey, we'll just find you a medical director role. And I don't think they go into any specifics. So this nurse did have some problems, because when she was talking, yes, they found a medical director for her, but this medical director was wanting to be very hands-off, which you cannot do. You cannot do this with IV therapy. And so she was able to get her money back. But I say that because it is important to know what your state requires. That way, if you are using one of these staffing companies, they're not just going to tell you, hey, this is what I'm going to do. You'll be in the loop of like, well, actually, per our state, this is what you have to do. So even if you want to be hands-off, sorry, you can't. If this isn't going to be a good fit, let's move on now. So that's very important. You also can do ads. Indeed, ads are a very good way to do too, but also make sure you include in there what you're specifically going to need. And of course, that is going to vary state to state. Some states can operate off protocols and some cannot. So there always has to be a patient-physician relationship established. And so what that means is if a patient is going to get an infusion, whether it's their first time or 50th time, that first time they have to talk to a provider. Now, depending on state rules on if you can operate off protocols or not, that kind of determines, okay, can I see them every time that I come? Or I've already seen them once, the provider's seen them once, so they are good for 6 months or a year to continue to get infusions, as long as it is clearly stated in the protocols what they're getting, and essentially that is how it goes. I'm not going to go into all the ins and outs because it is not a one size fits all. How I do stuff is going to be very different than how you do, because we are in different states, and the way stuff is written down is very important. Like, you have to have, it's important, but that's why I'm big on legalities, y'all. Legalities are going to be your biggest startup cost. So just know that there are different ways. And there are different ways that you can pay them depending on how you find them. If you're in a CPOM state, which is a corporate practice of medicine, they sometimes will not let you pay them certain ways, like percentages of it. And that's a whole other thing. So just know that there are different ways to pay them. I would highly recommend just a set amount a month. I always tell my nurses in the course, hey, if you're starting out, I would recommend especially doing an Indeed ad, because you're going to have more flexibility with talking to them and, planning all the specifics out, but let's say, hey, I will pay you X amount for the first 3 months because we're going to be slower. I don't know what to expect. And then from there, we can reevaluate and see how many patients did we actually have. If we need to up it, we can. If not, then we'll just leave it here and see how it goes. That's what I always recommend. That's what I would go and redo if I was restarting my business up. That's what I would do. So let's go over some green flags versus red flags on medical directors. So a green flag is going to be a provider who wants to be involved in care. Essentially, they want to see the patient. They have to see the patient, but this can be done via telehealth in most states. Again, if you're watching this years down the road, rules may have changed, but currently, as of right now, 2025, most states you can do telehealth. Again, this is not legal advice. This is recommendations from what I've seen, and you're going to have a lawyer who's going to confirm this, but that does make it easier. If you have a red flag, it's going to be a provider who is like, no, you can use my name, you can use my license, I'm over you, I don't need to talk to the patients, we'll have standing orders. Was there, with standing orders, a patient-physician relationship established? No, you can now do that. Another green flag is going to be a physician who wants to really learn the IB education of the vitamins. So I can tell you, because my husband is a physician, IV vitamins and how they work on a more holistic level. So I would say more on like the preventative side, not just the acute, like I'm hungover, I'm dehydrated, like the replacing vitamins. It is more of a functional medicine thing. So unless you have a functional medicine provider, there's a good chance that your provider may know a little bit more than you, a little bit less than you. They may know nothing. Y'all may be at the same level of, like, when I'm talking about vitamins, of like, how do they work? How do they work at the cellular level? How much more is required by our body? Like, for instance, vitamin C is one of those things. If we are acutely sick, our body requires like a percentage more because there's more of a demand because we're sick. So that is stuff that it is going to take time to learn, and finding a provider who is interested in this and wants to learn it as well, that is a big green flag. A red flag is one who, if they already know everything or they know majority, that's one thing. But if they don't know anything and they don't want to put any work in to learn, red flag. Because there are some contraindications of, someone could be on a medication or have a past medical history, or there's a reason why they actually shouldn't get that vitamin. For instance, NAD is one of those things that, of course, there's not a lot of research on all of this, and nor will there be, because there's not, there's more money to be made in putting someone on a medication than giving them a vitamin. I mean, it is what it is. Same with like peptides. Like, it is what it is. But since there's not a lot of research, our clinic errs on the side of caution. And so with NAD, it plays a role in mitochondria repair, specifically cellular DNA repair. There is like kind of this question as if you have someone who has had cancer or have cancer, if you give them NAD, are you giving your body all this energy to repair, but are you fueling the wrong cells? And so because of that, we will not give it to somebody who has either a history of cancer or currently has cancer. But if you have a provider who is not wanting to learn, as they should be doing, because they are over someone who is giving, we think IV vitamins are safe, and they are safe, but they also they can have implications. And so you can't just not know. And so if they don't want to, that is a big red flag. Another red flag would be a provider who's like, hey, yeah, I'll let you use my name, you can be my medical director, but I'm going to charge you, like $5,000 a month. There are some providers out there who just want to oversee several IV infusion clinics or even med spas, I don't know. And that's just like, I'm going to make 500 here, 500 here, 1,000 here. Like, I can just make money by being all over these med spas. If they're doing their due diligence and actually being the medical director role and not just using their license, that is okay. But a lot of times, if you have someone that's doing that, I would say no, they're just in it for the money. They're not so much wanting to be there to be present to help you with your business. So that's another red flag. For example, like we talked about in the last video, that girl who was in Texas, I believe in 2023, and she ended up passing away because she was giving an IV vitamin infusion at a med spa from a phlebotomist, is what the article said. She ended up passing away. It doesn't say exactly why, but it was as soon as she was given the infusion, like as soon as it started, which makes me think it probably may have contained potassium. I don't know for sure, can't say that, but something that affected her heart and then she passed away. But that medical director, I'm going to just say, go out on a limb and say that they might not have been very present, because otherwise that more than likely would not have been given to the patient. So medical directors do play a large role. I also not was a phlebotomist. I'm not knocking on phlebotomists, but also there is a different scope of practice between a phlebotomist and RN, just saying. So how to protect yourself and being prepared. This goes right back to my last video that I did last week. Legalities are the biggest part. Getting a healthcare lawyer and knowing what to verify within your state to be compliant with the different boards is so important. We have to be compliant with more than just the Board of Nursing. Us as RNs, we have to be compliant with the Board of Nursing. Our business is dabbling with the medical board and also the Board of Pharmacy. It's very important that you make sure you're started up correctly. I go more in depth in this in my course, but this is just know this. Okay, so here I like to go over at the end of my videos something that you can actually do in order to, like, actionable steps that you can do to help with this area right now. So you can get a piece of paper, pull up your phone, go in the notes, whatever. Write down 3 questions that you would ask a potential provider. This will help you be able to get in the mindset and think through the process, and it can help you for whenever you do go to talk to a provider. This list you can just add on to. Let's start off, I would say, are you willing to talk to each patient? I know that sounds like a stupid question, but you would be surprised. You could even say, like, are you willing to consult each patient? You shouldn't even have to ask that, but you do, unfortunately. How often do you want to check in? Do you want to check in weekly to see how things are going? Do you want to check in every 2 weeks? That's something else to do. And then, what do you expect from me as an owner? Or what are you also expecting, like, pay-wise? What do you think is fair? Those would be 3 to 4 questions that I would start off with. And this list will continue to grow because you'll be thinking about it and you'll be like, ooh, I should also ask this and this and that. And that's good, because that will also come in a role if you're interviewing a physician. You already have your little list put together, so it'll make it less stressful when you're like, I don't know what to ask. Well, you've already thought about it. So if you want to feel prepared and not panicked when you're starting your business, when that first provider call comes and you're interviewing them, you have your list to start off with. Now, I post videos every Wednesday to give you more information. This month, we're focusing on legalities, which is the most important part. Until you get started up, then it's marketing. I will say this 1,000 times drilled in your head. Like and subscribe for more. That way you get notified every time that I post a new video. And I hope I can continue to help you with your mobile infusion startup business.